Happy Sunday, everybody. Heather Coleman here. Getting ready to pull some cards for you whenever this video is finding you. So, yeah, specifically we're talking about the week of, not April. Feels kind of like April, though. Feels a lot like last month, but in the energy I'm talking about. But, no, we're talking about May 4th through 10th, but this message is timeless. So whenever it finds you, it is going to find you for a reason. And it's going to speak to whatever's going on. Both now and in the upcoming weeks and months. It's also going to address some of the really deep questions specifically. I mean, Source pretty much always does that, right? They're always seeing to the root of us and what we've got on our minds and our hearts. But I feel like this reading specifically, it's going to get below the bullshit, whether that's your own, the cluttery stuff that might be on your mind, or maybe what you're hearing and seeing from those around you. We're only going to have 3 tarot cards this week because we've going to have more oracle than we often do. I've already drawn 2 cards. I'm just drawing the 3rd. So we've got a lot of change in the air. And that's why I think I was sensing a similarity to the energy of the first week we had of April of 26. It's not that we're having the exact same things happen, of course, but we've got similar themes. We've got a similar energy in the sense that what's going on is going to sweep out the old and help bring in the new. So I think I remember saying this last week that it's especially important right now. It's always a good idea, of course, to be focusing on where we want our lives to go, what we want to call in, what we want to manifest, who and what we're becoming. Always a good idea, but especially right now, because when we see things happen, they're going to usher in this new energy, and the changes are happening, whether we feel like we're ready or not. We want to be ready. Remember, the universe is never going to give you more than you can truly, truly handle. So if you find yourself saying, I can't handle this and I'm not ready, throw out that hogwash. You're ready. You can handle it. You are made for this and you got this. So first card that we're going to have is from the Angel Prayers Oracle deck. The author is Kyle Gray. And I'm just going where I'm drawn by the energy. I usually feel a little tug in the gut. And the very first card we have is the Miracle of Forgiveness with Archangel Jeremiel featured here. This is so interesting because I drew a card called Self-Forgiveness recently. What this tells us is that we've got this collective theme going on, which makes a lot of sense if you think about what I just said, which is that these changes are coming to usher out the old, bring in the new. As we close out these chapters, there can be this human tendency to say, this is where I coulda, shoulda, woulda. Don't do that, okay? You did the best you could with what you knew at the time, and that's going to have to be good enough, yeah? Call on Archangel Jeremiel to help you with this process. Also, Archangel Ariel, who is not pictured here, but that's coming through very strongly, Archangel Ariel. And while I'm looking for another card for you, what I'm going to encourage you to do is just really breathe and maybe even meditate a little bit on what might you need to forgive, whether that's in yourself or others. A lot of times when we think we are so mad at everyone else, the true source of that is turned inward, and that often goes back to childhood. It often goes back to childhood. So let's be real with ourselves. Where's the real source of our shame or our anger? Fascinating. Can't make this stuff up. We got Archangel Gabriel or Gabrielle with Speak Your Truth. When you start speaking your truth to others, you're going to become more aware of your truth to yourself. So I think we're going to see a lot of that coming up this week. Third and final card from Angel Prayers. Can't make this stuff up. Love and accept yourself. I feel like we've got a theme for this collective of a lot of childhood wounds coming up. You know, if you tend, for example, if you're someone that tends to be hard on yourself, like coulda, shoulda, woulda, in terms of how you handled something recently, this month, the last 5 years, whatever it might be, trace it back to childhood and how were you treated if you made a mistake? If you tend to be hard on yourself, chances are good that your caregivers and authority figures were very hard on you. So it's time to pull this stuff up, time to work through it. We've got, again, love and accept yourself. You know, envision yourself surrounded by love, by divine source love. Yeah. Didn't think this was going to come up, but It's interesting. I had Tony Robbins pop up in the dream I had last night, and I had this experience of just like crying, pouring out all the pain that was in my heart. And it was very interesting. And so just know that if someone comes up in your dream, there is a reason for it. And think about, what does that person represent to you? You know, why might this person come up in your dream, right? So going on to our first tarot card, we've got here we go, here's the cover. Sun and Moon Tarot, Vanessa DeCourt. The Hermit reversed. So this is pointing to a time that I think many people at this time are going to be feeling reconnected, new connections, maybe some deepening of relationships, maybe people who have been sort of ancillary or more on the sidelines in your life beginning to take a greater role, and you for them as well. It's a very positive time in that sense, especially if any of you have been feeling isolated. But again, the Hermit card coming up, you'll notice this isn't the Unity card. The Unity card can also come up to indicate a time that we're going to be feeling more connected to like-minded groups of people. However, that message coming up in terms of the Hermit card in a reversal is serving as a reminder to carve out solitude for yourself, because sometimes we can get so, in a good way, we can get very busy and caught up with doing things that connect us with others. Not that that's bad, it isn't, but what we can do is we can forget to go back to center. And carving out some solitude on at least a weekly, if not a daily basis, can help us to stay grounded, can help us to stay balanced and present with ourselves, can also help us to show up our very best to these new situations, these new relationships that we are forming or that we are further developing. And also finding that solitude keeps you connected to your inner voice so that you are able to make the best possible discernment, the best possible decisions, I should rather say, using discernment on who you want surrounding you as you surge forward, as you move forward. We're in the year of the fire horse, and it's interesting that that word surge came through, because what I might have said was move forward or step forward, but the word that came through was surge forward. It's almost like the energy is propelling us in a very fast way. We might not even necessarily feel that, and I think many of you are doing what I'm about to say, which is you're doing the work to stay grounded, you're very focused. But the energy itself is just very fast moving this year with this fire horse energy, which started, I believe it was February 17th. So again, carving out that solitude, even though we have moved way out, right, of the energy that we had when COVID hit and everybody was very cut off and isolated. We've really moved out of that. Next card from the Sun and Moon Tarot is the Princess of Cups. Interesting, also in a reversal. So whenever I read tarot, when we get like the Prince or Princess of Cups, it's the message is essentially that we have emotions bringing a message, feelings and emotions bringing us a message. Now, this is really not a positive or a negative card, right? What I'm really sensing on this in the reversal is that it is a call for us to deepen into staying present with our own emotions, paying attention to what our own emotions are telling us about whatever it might be, your career, where you are right now, maybe a place, a situation, an opportunity, a decision you're trying to make, maybe a relationship or just a social setting. Notice your emotions and how you feel, because your emotions are going to tell you important things. And the more you tune into them, the better equipped you are to make decisions. So really, let's set an intention to remain focused on that. Third and final card this week from the Sun and Moon Tarot. Again, this is just a cute little deck. There's a real playful energy you'll notice with the cover art here. Interesting, we also have a reversal with the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is happiness, emotional happiness connected with a group or a collective. In some cases, a reversal could mean a more negative meaning to a card. In this case, that's not exactly what this is saying. What this is saying, it's similar to when we get the Nine of Cups reversed. So some of you already know the Nine of Cups reversed is a call to double down on knowing what you truly want. This is going to carry a similar meaning. So now that life is giving you opportunities to form new groups, maybe a new family on some level or a new social group, really, truly, truly on a regular basis, check in with yourself on what you want the social norms to be. How do you want these relationships to work now that they're deepening? How do you want this group to function? What do you want the rules of the group to be? And this could mean rules that are written up in sort of a formal way, or it could just mean sort of a verbal or even an unspoken code of conduct for how we interact in this group or in this setting or in this dynamic. So I'll give an example, and there are lots of them out there. This might not relate directly for you, but I'll give an example. I've been involved in swing dancing, social dancing for literally more than half my life. I think it's been 24 years. I'm 46 years old, so it's been more than half my life. And there was a big shutdown with COVID for a long time. And what I noticed when dance events started again, it's almost like people had forgotten a lot of what our unspoken rules were, or we couldn't follow all of them because of the social distance, and dancing is done close. So it's almost as if everybody felt very awkward getting back into these social settings. And now a lot of those connections are reforming. You're getting more of these friendships and these clusters of groups of friends developing, taking their friendships out of the scene. It's amazing to see. But what's also happening, I've noticed, is many of the old rules we had are still there, but there are some new rules developing. And again, that's what happens when you have a collective consciousness in dancing. I've just noticed that a lot of the unspoken rules that I never questioned because I got into dancing as a young 20-something person, I just knew them, they've changed a bit. And some of it is talked about, some of it's not, but most of it's really good though. Most of what's changed in terms of our unspoken social rules is very, very good. And it's just something I've observed. So I'm going to say watch for this in your life, whether there's a place you started going again. It could be in your work life, your personal life, or some place that you go, like what my son would call the third place. Could be a church or just a place that you go. Whatever the case, just observe this happening, because now with all these reconnections and these new social groups forming, think about what you want the culture to be. Even if you don't say it out loud to anyone, just really be aware, because you are a conscious creator of the climate and the world that you're building. And this is really how it starts, by the way. When we are conscious people in how we show up, how we treat others, how we want to be treated, and our social groups are pulled to a better level, the world as a whole improves. So final card that we're going to have here, last card, is going to be for our Magical Mermaids and Dolphins. Now, this is a deck that's no longer in print, sadly enough. The author retired from doing this kind of work, but this is also the first deck I ever got, and it's still as powerful and magical for me as it ever was. So I hope this message is going to be powerful and magical for you. Dream big. Love this card. I pull this card a lot, actually. This is one of the cards that comes up the most often for me. Let go of small thoughts about yourself. See yourself succeeding. And what's interesting, whenever I pull this card and it says dream big, I get excited when I think about some of the really big things I'd like to do in my life. But look at how relaxed this person is. She's not in any hurry. She feels very secure. She looks like she's meditating, but she's not worried about falling in the water. She's just comfortable putting her head back on the rock. Now, that is security that comes from deep within. So this card, I believe, is saying that we are developing that deep security from within. So as you're doing all the things that this reading is calling you to do, as you're thinking about what kind of a social group do I want to be around? How do I want people to show up? How do I want to show up? You're also going to look at what are the big things I want to call into my life? And this came up earlier too. So I feel like this message is coming full circle. What are the big things I want to experience in my life? Write these things down. Write them down either in words or in a voice recording, do a vision board, whatever your way is, because it's going to work for you. It's the year of the fire horse. I can really feel this energy speeding up as I'm giving you this message. And right now I'm just tuning in to see if there's anything else that Source would have us know. And I really feel like that's about it, guys. The circle some of you might remember me mentioning a circle that's going to be postponed. I feel like the timing just isn't quite right, but I'll let you know when we have something scheduled in the future. And watch for a sale. I'm going to be running a sale in the near future. Other than that, I hope you guys have an amazing week, month, whenever you're seeing this. My website is heatherlcoleman.com. So much peace and love to you. Thank you for being here.